Yo, yo, yo. Halfback, good morning, Dynasty. How the heck we all doing today? My name is Brendan. We are joined today with our co-host, Tyler. Tyler, how the heck you feeling, my man?
Feeling great, man. Feeling nice and festive. We put up the tree in the house last night, nice and Christmassy. Watched some Christmas movies. Man, it was. I'm feeling good. How you feeling, Brendan? You looking good, man. I can tell you
Thank
that. You
you.
got to be feeling well.
Listen, man, we're bringing that big energy today. The reason why I'm wearing the shades inside is because we are riding on a big Bears matchup. Tyler, we are settling the score. The hot take and bold predictions very well may end today. I'm up 1 point. I picked all of the Chicago Bears to lead me to victory, and I am wearing this in their honor.
I like it, man. The bold predictions, man. Your hot takes. I'm sure everybody that watched the movie or the video, that was funny, man. I loved it. Good stuff. Good Homer stuff. I tried to trade for your boy Montgomery in our big league all week, just not happening. So I tried to I tried to buy in.
Hey, man, sometimes it's not meant to be, and I don't even know if I want you to have David Montgomery because you're not a loyal Bears fan, so I don't think it's worth it. Hey, check this out, though. So as you know, I was talking to you earlier, pre-show. I've got my beer advent calendar going on. I'm drinking this for the Bears today. It is December 6th. This is my 6th beer. Only one a day. Don't you worry. I haven't drinking 6 beers before 11 a.m. my time. But it's pretty cool. My beautiful girlfriend got me this right here. So every day I get to open a new German import beer. So I know I'm starting early, but I need to be feeling good all day because I'm winning that $100 buy-in, baby. Let's go.
Today's a big day to feel good, man. I'm gonna follow up your beer. I'm having, where's my camera here? Right here. A little super coffee.
A super coffee. Let's
There's
go.
no added sugar, no dairy, nothing bad in here, man.
So it's basically water.
Basically coffee flavored water with a little monk fruit to naturally sweeten that and give you a little caffeine boost, man. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling
Nice,
so
man.
good, Brendan.
Good, good. I'm glad we both got that great energy today because we have an important pregame show. The week 13 of the NFL will be starting up here shortly. So we are, of course, going to go over the actives and inactives. Tyler always prepares a fantastic list. We'll go into our juicy matchup for the week and then as well as a stardom, sit-em. Tyler, I'm ready for that good stuff, man. What do we got? Who's playing? Who's not playing?
We got another lengthy list, which seems to be pretty consistent anymore in the NFL. So let's jump right in. You got Todd Gurley, who was questionable throughout the week, is active. Obviously, Ito Smith got in the end zone last week. Brian Hill looked atrocious. So I guess if you got to roll Gurley, I'd roll him. He is active. Julio Jones is active with a hamstring. Obviously, you roll Julio Jones. He's a stud, but if you remember last time he played, he was questionable with a hamstring, and he was kind of in and out of the lineup. So it's hard to say. But obviously, you got to start Julio Jones. Nick Foles is active. The truth, your boy Mitchell Trubisky is expected to start, but Foles is active just in case. Sticking with the Bears. Allen Robinson is active. Darnell Mooney is active. Moving on from the Bears, Mike Thomas of Cincinnati, that is active. Tywan Taylor of Cleveland is out, the wide receiver. I doubt anybody's looking to start him, but he is
Darn
out.
it. Here's my
I
wide
know
receiver one.
that's tough, man. That's a tough place to be. Hodge, another wideout for Cleveland, is out. Matthew Stafford, quarterback for Detroit, is active. Tough one here. Deandre Swift going to miss another week, this time with an illness. So I'm not sure if it's stemming from his concussion issues, but, man, he's struggling to get back on the field, which is
It's not good.
unfortunate because he's been playing really, really well. But he is out. Kenny Golladay remains out, so a tough one there for the Lions as well. CJ Procise out with an illness. Chris Conley, wide receiver for Jacksonville, will be activated this week. So probably not much to see there. Unfortunately, I think Colin Johnson takes a big hit, who actually played really, really well last week. So
I think you called that too. I think you said he was due for some bigger work. that
I
week.
like Colin Johnson a lot, man. He was a stud at Texas. He went back that extra year to finish his degree as a promise to his family. So
Oh,
cool
nice,
story
dude. You
there.
love to
Or
see
else,
that.
yeah, or else I think he would have been a first round pick coming out a year before because he had a huge year at Texas.
Wow.
The big one in the morning games is Josh Jacobs is out. So make sure you guys are all over that. He was trending towards playing, but make sure and get him out of your lineup. That's a tough one. Hopefully you have Devontae Booker, who's he's going to have a ton of value this week. What he does with it, I don't know.
I don't think he's that good of a running back, but obviously when you're doing to get the start, you're going to get some great work.
Yeah, he could be like a Giovanni Bernard type, when Mixon's out, he immediately gets that boost and gets a lot of work. But yeah, make sure Jacobs is out of your lineup because that's a big one, obviously. Tua Tagovailoa is expected to get the start. He is expected to play. He's technically still questionable, but should get the start. DeAndre Washington, RB for Miami, not much to see here. He's doubtful. Selvin Ahmed, also doubtful for Miami, which is unfortunate because he played really well when he got the start that 1 week. Irv Smith
But
Jr.
who's coming back, though? Who's coming back for the Dolphins, baby?
It's got to
New
be your
running
boy
back.
Gaskin, right?
I love that guy. I
Yeah,
wasted a
he's
first-round pick on him, dude. I traded a first round for him and Christian Kirk, so thank the Lord he's back for playoffs.
absolutely, man. He was another one that in the dynasty community took a real big hit by going back to college an extra year. So he was a first round consensus rookie draft first rounder. So interesting player there. Irv Smith Jr. out again. Unfortunate. Another young tight end that was looking good, but he's not been on the field for a few weeks now. For all you Delvin Cook owners, man, Alexander Madison is out with an illness, so Cook is just going to get a monster workload. I'd expect about 40 points out of him. Marquez Callaway for New Orleans out. He's on IR. Deontay Harris, New Orleans, is inactive as well. Jonnu Smith, another kind of big one here, is out. So I'd expect a boost for, I guess, Adam Humphries, maybe more Corey Davis, in my opinion, but Jonnu Smith is out. So for the afternoon games, Kalen Bellage, questionable. He has very little value now that Eckler is back.
Should have flipped him when you had the chance.
I
If you were holding
so.
him. Yeah, I dropped it. I think everybody has owned that guy at least at one point in their dynasty career.
Oh, I loved Bellage, man. Coming out of his rookie year, man, I loved Bellage. But he's just, hey, he filled in nicely. He probably helped a lot of teams the couple weeks here. So
sure. I think I owned him when he was on. I think he was on the Dolphins at one point. I think I owned him when he was on the Jets.
Yeah, man.
So then I dropped him.
He's an interesting player because he's so big, he's so fast. It'll be interesting to see if he progresses. But obviously, not much to see this year. Who knows where he signs next year if he does. Cam Newton, questionable, but he'll play. Danny Dimes, doubtful, likely out. So Colt McCoy should be in the game this week. Carlos Hyde, questionable, whatever. Travis Homer, questionable. Doubtful, running back for Seattle. I don't think anybody's looking to start him. So Sunday night games, Philip Lindsay is questionable with a knee. He is expected to play, surprisingly.
Whoa.
Jerry Judy, yeah, he's expected to play.
I thought he was trending. I thought it looked worse, or I thought they thought his injury was worse than what it was, or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the local Denver writers expect him to play. Whether he will, I don't think he's a safe start, but he is trending towards playing. Jerry Judy, questionable. Probably going to play though. CEH, questionable. He's got the stomach flu or some kind of virus, so I will likely suit up. What that means, I don't know, but that's kind of what we're looking at for active inactives for today's game. So a couple heavy hitters out. Josh Jacobs missing a game. That's a big deal.
Agreed.
Luckily, it's this week and not next week. I know some formats, your playoffs probably do start this week, but for a lot of people who have a more traditional schedule, I guess, hopefully he'll be back for round one of the playoffs here.
Yeah. It's crazy because the fact that now you need to go see if you can get Adrian Peterson for this week, or like you said, Devontae Booker, Le'Veon Bell, even though I'm starting to think the Icon and CEH are both unstartable. I mean, It's
Yeah,
crazy, man.
obviously you and I are on forums all the time. I think CEH has really, really great value long term. I think he'll grow with the team, but I'm shocked where he's currently valued. I know a lot of times in Dynasty it's all about future, but CEH gets valued as if he's this already elite asset. And he's just not. He's just not that guy, you know.
It's
I'm
not.
just shocked by his value, which again, I know it's all future driven. Most of Dynasty is future driven, you know, but his value is crazy high for what he's produced. You know, I think it's crazy the how highly people view CEH, but yet people are dumping Jonathan Taylor like it's going out of style. You know, it's just really interesting to me. It's just a
I
couple
think
polarizing figures.
absolutely. I think JT is worth more than CEH. And real
I'd
quick
rather have
before,
Taylor.
oh, yeah, absolutely. He's a
Yeah.
better raw runner, better talent.
Yeah.
I think that it's important, Tyler. We may have spoken about this before, either off air or on the show. One thing that I don't enjoy about forum pages for Dynasty is sometimes I feel like these people don't even want to win the league. Like they play to
Right.
just have the most up and coming assets to like brag about that they've scouted these guys, or it's like they never have the complete studs because they're 27 years old and those are the studs that are going to win you the league. They'd rather have three up and coming guys. Like, I don't know, man. Sometimes I'm just like, why are you trying to force youth and upside above elite and actual talent for production? You know, it's so crazy. I feel like some people don't even want to win this year or win any year. They just want that young upside.
Hey man, it's very, very interesting you bring that up. I was talking with somebody in our big league, and youth is so, so important or overvalued in Dynasty. Who are the best players in the league? DeAndre Hopkins is 28, Devontae Adams is 28, Delvin Cook is 26,
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Henry is 26. Like everybody focuses so much on youth and just
Mm-hmm.
moves vets.
Mm-hmm.
Keenan Allen's 28, 29.
Michael Thomas is like 27,
Yeah, the
28.
best players in the NFL are guys that have learned how to play in the NFL for years and years and years. Yeah, so young assets are very exciting. There's some very productive young assets, but I'm with you. You know, a lot of it is also dependent on your league, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you and I have talked about that some people value running backs very high. Some people value wide receivers very high. And you get on these forums and, you know, you're told what your assets are worth, and then you go try to trade them in your league. And I, Joe Mixon's a perfect example, man. I've been trying to trade him for weeks. The best offer I've received is a late second Brandon Ayuk. That is the best offer I've
A late
received for
second
Joe
in
Mixon.
Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
jeez.
I love Brandon Ayuk, man. If I could have gotten an extra second on top, I'd probably make that deal because I don't see it with Mixon, you know. But and a lot of people would think that's selling incredibly short, but your assets are worth what they're worth in your league. Period.
Mm-hmm.
End of story.
Mm-hmm. I
So
agree.
you
I
know,
agree wholeheartedly.
everybody can say Joe Mixon's worth 3 first rounders, but in our league, he's not. Period. He's
Yeah.
just not.
And
So
like you always say, it's better to sell a year early rather than a year late. So unbelievable,
absolutely.
man. I didn't know that was your offer. I might put together an offer that slightly trumps that. I don't know. I don't know if I
Well,
like Mixon that much. I mean, I like him because of his name, but I don't know. We'll
you
see if
got
it happens.
58 minutes, man, before trades are done. So.
Good. All right. We'll power through this and I'll take a look real quick. Cool, man. Cool. Let's jump in. We've, of course, got the juicy matchup for the week. Let's roll it. Boom. So I was looking at some Vegas odds, some over-unders, and Vegas has the Cleveland Browns versus the Tennessee Titans as the highest over-under. I think at like 54 points or something. So, of
Interesting.
course, I wanted to pick that matchup, but I was like, hell no, I ain't picking Baker Mayfield in a juicy matchup again. As I've promised, I'm never going to do it. So I am not picking the Cleveland Browns versus the Tennessee Titans because they're probably not even going to get past 30 points total. So we're cutting them out. Tyler, this week was very difficult because there were some really great matchups in a sense of good NFL games. There wasn't one game that necessarily stood out as like absolute shootout. Uh, on paper or like at first glance, I saw the New Orleans Saints, and then I saw the New Orleans Saints versus Atlanta Falcons, which would have been a juicy matchup if Taysom Hill wasn't the quarterback. So, I kind of had to pick and choose and go a little bit deeper rather than just seeing two teams play each other. So this week, I've actually picked a top defense as a part of the juicy matchup. You ready?
Wow. Yeah, that's fun.
Okay. So I have picked the Indianapolis Colts versus the Houston Texans. Here's why. Hear me out. Yes, we all know the Colts have a very good defense and the Texans do not. Okay. First off, it's a divisional game. I think the Titans lead the Colts by one game. Let me look at this real quick. I think the Colts lead the Titans. Let me look at the AFC standings real quick. Okay, AFC South. The Titans lead the Colts by one game. So this is a huge divisional matchup because if the Colts win, they have to. They have to win to essentially try to clinch the division. They need to gain that one game back on Tennessee. So here's the juicy part. The Colts have given up a lot of points the past couple weeks. So they gave up 45 points to the Titans last week. They gave up 31 points to the Packers 2 weeks ago. The Texans have put up a considerable amount of points the past 2 weeks. Last week against Detroit, they smacked the Lions, bro. They put up 41 points. And 2 weeks ago versus the Patriots, who have a decent defense, they threw up 27 points. So I think that it doesn't matter who the Texans play. Deshaun Watson is really balling out. He has shown that he is a great quarterback. The guy has nothing to lose. They're 4-7. They're third in the AFC South. Who cares what's going to happen? I think that the Texans want to just keep him sharp. There's no reason to bench him because what I've realized, if you bench these NFL players, they're not getting those reps in, those practices in. I think it's really crucial that they still do play unless they're like, they have no wins. Unless they're like the Jets. If the Jets had like Dalvin Cook, I'd probably consider benching him or Christian McCaffrey. So the Colts have to beat the Texans to try to catch up to the Titans. So they're going to be playing super hard this game, right? They can't afford to lose it. Watson doesn't care if he wins or lose. They probably want to lose to get a better draft position if they have a first-round pick. I don't know what Bill O'Brien did before he left. That guy was awful. But Watson has been pretty good recently. His stats this last month of football, he's thrown 84 completions out of 124 attempts for over 1,100 passing yards and 9 touchdowns. And one thing I want to note is this guy has not thrown an interception since week 5. Dude, that's really good. And his team is not very good. So
he's playing really well.
He stepped up. It was a little bit concerning, right off the gate or right off the bat. He was kind of falling behind a little bit, but he's really put it together. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, well, he doesn't have Mr. PED, Mr. Steroids. Oh, I didn't know I wasn't able to take this. My doc gave it to me, a.k.a. Will Fuller. Yes, he will not have Will Fuller. But to be honest, Will Fuller is a great wide receiver, but you're tied to your quarterback, Tyler, as you say. You love to say you're only as good as your quarterback. So I don't care who's next up in line because Deshaun Watson is so accurate. He's so versatile. You're going to see Brandon Cooks have an absolute ball-in game today. I think the matchup is great. I think it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game, believe it or not, because there's no way the Texans are going to get anywhere running the ball, so they're going to throw the ball against the Colts. So that's what I have.
Sure.
A little bit of a non-traditional pick here. Tyler, what do you think?
I like it, man. I guess to follow up on that, sorry, Brendan, I'm struggling with the glasses, man. I'm trying to keep it together and not laugh through this whole thing, but I'm liking it. So what do you think Jonathan Taylor does?
I think Jonathan Taylor has a big game. I don't think that the
Colts
game plan – I think it's very possible. Reason being is because this is where the Texans rank against these positions. Quarterbacks, this is their defense per se. So they're 22nd against quarterbacks. They're 31st against running backs. They are the second worst defense against running backs in fantasy football. 23rd against wide receivers, 19th against tight ends. So clearly the matchup is incredibly juicy for Jonathan Taylor. However, we're still seeing him adapt. It's too bad he missed last week because we started to see him actually get more work and kind of produce a little bit more. You're seeing the gaps. He was playing a little bit better. I don't think the Colts game plan will change too much because they have been pretty successful. But if there was a game where Jonathan Taylor would go over 100 yards, it's this game. It is this game.
So quick follow-up, just from a straight point perspective, does Nyheim Hines or Jonathan Taylor in a full PPR come out with more points in this game?
Tough. Very tough. Reason being is because Hines is actually playing pretty dang well. And, he's still seen as a backup, right? And you always struggle to kind of like play these backups in your lineup to start them. but Hines
Sure.
has played pretty dang good.
Yeah.
I would start either of them. I don't think I would start both of them if you had them both on the same team, but I would start either of them against the Texans. I think Jonathan Taylor will have a better game if they don't ease him back, which I don't think they will. They need him to have a big game here. They have to win. I think
Okay.
Jonathan Taylor will outscore Hines today.
Okay.
Good question, man. Really good question. Because I have Hines in my big league, or one of my big leagues, and dude, I gotta contemplate. Do I start him? And it's tough because he is technically like the 1B. I guess my perception is
man.
he's the 1B, I guess, if you will.
For sure, man. I don't own any shares, unfortunately, of Jonathan Taylor, man. I just want to see that kid have a good week, get the pressure off his back, settle in. I mean, I know it's not like he's having a terrible rookie year, but that kid feels like people expected a lot more from him out of the gate. So I'd love to see him go for $150 and a couple scores just to settle in, and take the pressure off. Because I think once the pressure's off a little bit, I think athletes can play a little bit better, regardless of what anybody says. Jonathan Taylor knows right now his rookie year has been disappointing.
To be honest, though, he's not playing that bad. And we discussed
I don't think
this
so
previously.
either.
In comparison to CEH and J.K. Dobbins, I mean, he's not really that bad of a running back. He's still like a top 20 running back this year in fantasy football, which isn't bad. He's still getting reps. It's just people automatically assume that these rookie running backs are like Saquon Barkley rookie year. They automatically assume if you're going to take them at the 101 overall, they need to be a top 5 running back. It's not the case.
Yeah, we've been spoiled for 2 or 3 years by the incoming rookie running backs, to be completely honest. Whereas this year, it's kind of been more of the wide receivers. I mean, I think I saw Justin Jefferson as a chance to have the best rookie wide receiver season ever or something.
Wow, so, you're really trying to rub that one in on me, huh?
Hey, I'm just throwing it out there, man. I appreciate the trade, Hey, like I said, we'll see what happens when Galladay's back healthy. Any trade looks like a slam
I've
dunk.
got full faith. Galladay's a lock on 15 points per game.
Absolutely.
I'm not worried at all.
When somebody's not playing, a trade always looks better. So
yeah, no, I hear you, man. Cool. All right, hey, let's move on. We got stardom, sit-em, so I'll blow through these real quick. I'm going to list off one person per position, one player I'd start, and one player I would sit per position. Tyler, I thought these through a little bit, and you might see some bigger names as starting or bigger names as sitting. I hate suggesting to sit big name players, but sometimes the matchup just isn't good, and it might be better to seek out other options if you have them at this point in the season. Okay, here we go. Quarterback, I'd start Ryan Tannehill versus the Cleveland Browns, just piggybacking off Vegas obviously thinks it's going to be a high-scoring game. Cleveland ranks 27th against quarterbacks, and the Titans need to win this game as well to stay on top of the division. If they win this game, they're looking pretty good to take the division. I know there's a couple more weeks left, but every game is crucial at this point. Quarterback, I'd sit Matt Ryan versus the New Orleans Saints. I cannot stand Matt Ryan. He will lose you any given week. He's not trustworthy. This is where the issue comes in. Matt Ryan was horrible against the Saints in Week 11. 19 for 37, 232 passing yards, 0 teeters, 2 picks. Tyler, guess how many fantasy points he had that week?
Doing some quick math, I'm going to guess about 4.
Yes, he had 6. 6 fantasy points. You can't take that any given week with your starting quarterback, especially a guy who's supposed to be on like a top offense in the league. So
for sure,
I'm not going to play him. I'm definitely not going to play him this week. He let me down. He actually knocked me out of the playoffs in one of my redraft leagues because I started him and really let me down. So screw that guy. He's second in line of quarterbacks I hate, right behind Baker Mayfield.
So would you start either of the big wideouts then for Atlanta?
So, I mean, 232 yards in the air is still pretty good. I mean, some receivers have to get that regardless. And, Todd Gurley isn't getting too much passing work. So I think Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley still have a shot to put up 100 yards. I don't think there's really an issue with that. But you have to realize in 6-point per touchdown leagues for QBs, you have to get at least 1 touchdown to salvage the week. And if you can't put up 1 touchdown as the quarterback, which affects the quarterback position more, you know.
Yeah, with the quarterback having a bad week doesn't always necessarily mean your wide receivers had a bad week. So
Yeah, I mean, he basically had 20 completions for 232 yards. I mean, if you're looking at a PPR league, I mean, that's 20 points just based on receptions alone, and that's
yeah,
23 more points based on just yardage. That's still
sure.
almost 45-point split among more than likely two receivers on your team. So there's still a great shot both those guys could hit 20 points. Not worried about them. I'm worried
Yeah,
about Matt Ryan per se.
sure.
Great point, though. I'm really happy you brought that up. It's really good stuff there. Tyler, for running backs, I chose one of my boys to start, Miles Sanders versus the Green Bay Packers. I absolutely despise the Eagles, and I hate their offense right now. I think Carson Wentz is on the edge of losing his job. Heck, I thought he was going to lose his job a month ago. So who knows what the heck's going on with that situation. But here is why I would start Miles Sanders. Okay, playing the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are very bad against the run game. Running backs are really good against the Packers. I called out David Montgomery to start playing the Packers last week. Second play of the Bears' first drive, he broke out a 56, 57-yard run. Miles Sanders
Nailed
does
it.
have a shot to put up 100 yards. I really hope he does. So I'm just going to roll it and continue on starting the RBs versus the Packers. Would you agree on that?
You nailed it, man. I mean, David Montgomery's had one good game in his career, and you nailed it the week you said start him against Green Bay. So I'm not going to question it.
Good. So here we go. So Miles Sanders is a for sure lock. Running back, I would sit Kenyon Drake. I know this is a bigger name, but he is matching up against a tough Los Angeles defense. So the Rams defense is just really good, especially with their front seven, their stacked box, and they've only given up more than 60 rushing yards once in their last 5 games. They've only given up one 100-yard rushing game in the past 5 games and one 60-yard rushing yard or 60 yards rushing in the last 5 games. And every other game, the other like 3 or 4 games, they only gave up like 50 yards. So my point being, they don't give up much yardage on the ground. However, in each of their last 4 games, they've given up a rushing touchdown. So you have to hope Kenyon Drake finds the end zone. The issue here is I think Kyler Murray has a way better shot of finding the end zone on the ground
Sure.
than Kenyon Drake. So if you're comparing, hey, they're going to give up a rushing touchdown. And let me rephrase. They gave up a rushing touchdown to running backs. So at the running back position, once the past 4 games, they gave up a rushing touchdown to a running back. Not
Gotcha.
necessarily rushing touchdowns in general. Let me clarify that. I don't think Kenyon Drake will find the end zone. I think if they are going to give up a rushing touchdown to the Cardinals, it'll be Kyler Murray sprinting out of the pocket and running in. I really do. So let me make that clear. A wide receiver, I have to carry on with your boy, Justin Jefferson versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The guy is honestly on his way to be a stud. I'm riding the wave here. Yeah, he's too good. Dude, he's a beast. I'm really sad I let him go, but he is an absolute beast right now, and I'm happy that you're enjoying him on your roster. 28 targets over the last 3 games combined. He is getting the ball. He's getting fed. Granted, I know Adam Thielen was out last week due to that weird COVID testing situation, so he had an uptick in targets. I think he had like 13 last week. But regardless, I mean, he's averaging still like 7 to 8 targets a game. That's really good, man. That's really good for a rookie receiver. Granted, they have a sketchy quarterback in Kirk Cousins, but regardless, it shows that Cousins trusts Jefferson. And when you have a QB who trusts you, they're going to try to feed you the ball no matter how good or bad they are at the quarterback position. Wide receiver, I would sit. This was a tough one for me, Tyler, but I have to sit my boy Juju Smith-Schuster versus the Washington football team. Very tough matchup on the Steelers receivers. Way too many options on the Steelers offense. Ben Roethlisberger is really good at throwing the ball around. Deontay Johnson has emerged as one of the top receivers on that team, and I just see him getting the ball a little bit more. Just to put it in perspective, Washington ranks second against wide receivers in fantasy football. Very difficult matchup. So you agree or disagree with those receiver plays?
Yeah, I agree. I think the most interesting takeaway for me for Justin Jefferson was last week without Adam Thielen. It really showed what his, I guess, potential is. I mean, he got 2 touchdowns. He had 2 red zone looks, converted on both of them. Whereas I think it's capped a little bit with Thielen because Thielen's kind of their red zone guy. But, hey, maybe that changes a little bit now that they know Jefferson can be that guy.
Exactly. He's capable. So, he can get the job done. And, that's why he's had some big games because a lot of the primary defensive backs line up on Adam Thielen. Thielen,
Absolutely.
he's a guy who's up there in age, and he is definitely underrated. He is not
Very,
valued enough. He is
very.
definitely a great wide receiver one, if I'm being honest with you. So that opens
Yeah,
the
I
door to
don't.
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I've always never been a fan of Adam Thielen, but the guy's statistics speak for themselves. He's a fantastic receiver in the NFL, and he's a fantastic fantasy receiver.
And he came from basically nothing. He was not
Yeah,
ranked well. He was
very good
basically a
player.
nobody.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love
very,
the
very
story
good
there.
player. Yep.
Good, good. All right, last up, tight ends. Mike Gesicki versus the Cincinnati Bengals. I'd absolutely start him here. The Bengals ranked 31st against tight ends in fantasy football. Gesicki has averaged 5 targets in each of his last 3 games. Not even average. He's had 5 targets the past 3 games. So if you're getting 5 targets a game at a tight end, I'm assuming you're going to convert maybe 2 to 3 of those. You should convert more because typically they're shorter passes, so they should be easier to catch per se unless they're being contested. But heck, I'll take a 3 reception game with 60 yards, as I discuss every week, man. That's enough for me at the tight end spot with the chance
No
of finding
question.
the end zone. So
No question.
yeah, I like him there. One tight end I don't like, and honestly, I don't like at all for the remainder of Dynasty. I'd recommend selling him as soon as possible if the trade deadline is not passed, or look to flip him the second the trade window opens again. Zach Ertz on the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers. To be honest, you missed out on selling him. It's a little too late. His value has decreased with the emergence of Dallas Goedert. Pretty clear that Goddard was emerging, and it was pretty easy to call that he is going to be the next big tight end in fantasy football. He's going to consistently be a top 5. I put him behind Darren Waller, but before TJ Hawkinson. So I think Dallas Goedert is going to be a top 5, top 6 tight end for years to come. Zach Ertz is really old. Their offense is horrible. He has no more time to progress or kind of find a different team. His career is basically going to spiral downhill, in my opinion. So I would not start him. Plus, the Green Bay Packers are just pretty good. They're really good, actually, against tight ends in fantasy football. I think they're like ranked 8th or 9th. So not a good matchup for him. Tyler, that's what I've got for you, man.
I like it, man. Some good stuff there. I had I did running back, start him, sit him, and I was just curious to get your take. I would
Mhm.
start Damon Harris, and I would sit
Nice.
Alvin. I would sit Alvin Kamara. What do you think about that?
That is the biggest sit-em we've ever listed on
I
this
just
show.
his touches with Taysom Hill have gone extremely downhill. I don't know. I think if you have the luxury to not need his points, roll him. But if you're looking for you got to win and get in, you have a different option. I don't think Kamara is safe at all.
So I know you've got both of those guys in our big league, and you and I are both sitting at 9-3. So I think we clinched the playoff spot, but this week determines seeding. A lot of
Yeah,
seeding in the playoffs.
yeah.
Are you going to start Damian Harris over Alvin Kamara this week? Now, I don't
I
want you. You don't feel pressure if you say yes here and you switch your mind. No harm, but that's a very tough decision. Who do you think you're going to start?
My roster or my lineup is currently set. I have Damon Harris in the game, and I do not have Alvin Kamara in my lineup.
I respect that, man. That's a very tough decision. I can't
And
even
again,
imagine.
with having a playoff seed guaranteed, I mean, it's a little bit easier to put Kamara on my bench versus, again, if you need to win and get in, I'm not sure I could stomach that. But
Mm-hmm.
his two games with Taysom Hill, man, he's not even an RB2. He's really not.
Awful.
It's just I don't. Again, I mean, I've been bitter about it for weeks. I've complained about it on our show for weeks. But how are you not getting Kamara the ball? I don't understand. And maybe it's just they're waiting for Breeze to get back. They're going to make the playoffs. Maybe they're just kind of taking pressure off his body.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what they're doing.
There's usually a lot more into it than what we
Sure.
observe from our
Yeah.
TV screen, acting like
Yeah.
we know more than the actual coaches who have a career in coaching 53-man rosters of all grown men who take hits every day
Exactly.
and destroy their body. So
And Kamara in the playoffs for the New Orleans Saints is a lot more important than all of us needing the points in fantasy. I don't think it is. You know my feeling on that. I don't think it is, but to an organization, it surely is. So maybe they're just running Murray.
yeah. And you know what?
Maybe they're looking at McCaffrey and seeing kind of what's going on there. That hey, we don't want that to happen to Kamara because McCaffrey looks to be in some trouble this year.
Yeah, I agree. The real quick in comparison, I agree with that statement, although I think their situations are a little bit different. I think McCaffrey got used a lot more than Kamara.
Wow.
He just got fed the ball 30 times a game regardless, and he's not built like Derrick Henry, who probably will never be injured in the NFL.
Yeah, no.
So I do agree, especially if you're making the playoffs, there's no reason to risk hurting a top running back in the NFL because Breeze is going to need him. And you know what? It's working right now with Taysom Hill.
Sure.
They don't want to make him uncomfortable. They want him just to keep doing what he's doing, and that is winning football games. So
yeah, it's totally different in real life versus fantasy. You know, there's no reason to feed Kamara right now because, like you said, it's working. You know, Taysom Hill's your running back right now, or Latavius Murray, and that's fine. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if I was in a win and get in, I don't know if I could sit Kamara. But where I currently am, I'm gambling on somebody, I guess, with more potential points until I see otherwise with Kamara. You know,
You
if
have
he
to look
comes
at it
out
that
and
way.
gets 25 touches this week, it'd be awesome. And if he's on my bench and blows up, hey,
still is a good look.
Yeah, I'd be pleased to see that he's getting touches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to go for what you think is the most guaranteed points in your lineup.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't know if you've been watching the Saints games, man. Hey, Alvin Kamara's body language is a player that's extremely frustrated. You know, he knows that he's watching a historical season, which, hey, historical seasons are historical because they don't come around. But he had a chance for a historical season. It's over. You know, that's got to be extremely disappointing as a player.
Well, hopefully he reaches that type of status next year. Tyler, really enjoyed doing the show today. Let's get this bad boy uploaded. We'll let the people listen and hopefully enjoy our stardom sit-ems, juicy matchups, hopefully listen to our actives and inactives so nobody takes a fat goose egg in their lineups. Is there anything you'd like to say before we sign off?
Kind of like Hoodie B the other night, man. It's good to see Shady B.
Shady B in the cut. I love it, man. I love it. Cool, Tyler. We'll talk soon. I really appreciate doing this. Good luck today. Good luck to all of you listening. We hope that you do win this matchup and you make it into the playoffs. If you have any last-minute questions regarding lineup rosters or sit-ems, stardoms, waivers, anything related to anything fantasy football, please hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at Halfback Dynasty. You can also shoot us an email, halfbackdynasty@gmail.com. You can also find us on dynastyleaguefootball.com, a.k.a. DLF. My name is McCaffstees. Tyler is Gator Sense. Such a legend down there, 5-star recruit. You know how it is. But thank you all. We really hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay smooth, and just remember, you're in this for life.